I am currently working on a film called Queer Mikveh, a Jewish water ritual, working title. But it's a film and a project, and I'd never had any aspirations of making a film. It kind of just was a natural unfolding. So I have been interested in Mikvah, which is a Jewish ritual of water immersion, where you fully immerse yourself in water without touching anything else. And a lot of the tradition is around going back to how you were in your birth state and in the womb, which that can be that framing of it could be really useful for maybe someone who was born intersex, who had their body changed without their consent, that you were made exactly as God made you. And it could also be hurtful for someone who has decided to change their body, identifies as transgender or genderqueer, and saying that's the only way to go back to how you were when you were born. So the idea of Queer Mikveh is really to frame this ritual as it's meaningful to yourself, and to use the part of the tradition that speaks to you personally. And it's also about making it accessible, and both physically accessible and just known about as a ritual that you could do. And because queers have been excluded from traditional mikveh space. So a mikveh is a natural body of water. It could be a lake or the ocean, but it also, as most people know about, it's some kind of pool or tub in a synagogue often, and you kind of go, and it's very gendered, and according to law it's gendered, but the queering of it is saying anyone can enter this. How are we going to find spaces where it is possible to enter? And there are a couple projects that are specifically working on that. There's a place outside of Boston I haven't gotten to visit yet called Mayim Haim, and they are particularly focused on making the mikveh space available to people with disabilities and trans and genderqueer people who haven't been able to access in other ways. There's also a project called Immerse NYC in New York City that's training people to be mikveh guides, and also looking about how to create space in New York area for queer people. And the idea of the film, it came from my interest in this ritual. And I've been interested in it for a long time. Like when I did this farming fellowship at Isabella Friedman here called Adamah, and I remember the first week it was Shabbat, and they were like, okay, it's time to do mikveh. And so we went down to the river, and they said, okay, men go over there and women go over there. And I was like, we need a third option because I identify as genderqueer, and what about other people here may as well have needs around this. But it was great because the program actually really integrated that after that at that point, and it really was my first claiming of that ritual for myself, because I was able to put it in a context that worked for me. And then over the years, the ritual was revived for me recently through my friend Orav Katz in Kohenet a couple years ago, and who was doing a project around mikveh in Toronto, Queer Mikveh in Toronto, and we just started having a lot of conversations and collaborating in a way together. And I started writing grants to do Queer Mikveh, and to had all these ideas of like public installation and bringing this queer mikveh that I just did with my friends spontaneously, not formalized, that I'd been doing for a decade, bringing it to a more public context and bringing it, as I was saying before, as a gift of my culture to the land that I was living on. But I wrote a lot of grants and I didn't get any of them. So I thought I need to show people what I'm talking about, like that they need to see what this thing is that I'm trying to create for more broader access. And so I thought, okay, I should make like a little film about it, just like a 5-minute film. And I actually was working on a promotional video for my deck, and the person that I found, Johnny Bockwinkel, to work on the promotional video for the deck, I said to her at the beginning, I have this idea for doing this other film about queer mikveh. And she said, okay, well, let's see how it goes for this promo video. And it was a really great experience, because it was like, people have no idea. I had no idea what goes into film. And making this like 40-second promo video was like 400 hours of work. So I got a taste of what, and of course, like something like a commercial, really quick shots and lots of different shots is going to be different than making a full-length film. But I did get a taste of the amount of work that would go into doing something like that. But I really loved it. And so after we finished that and it turned out great, I said, hey, do you want to start working on this other project? And so it's been, we've been working on it for like 4 months now. And we've done a bunch of interviews, and I facilitated the creation of 3 formalized rituals of queer mikveh, and learned a lot along the way. Like the first one we did in solidarity with Standing Rock, and the things that were recently coming up, it was in the beginning of March, so around immigration, and I facilitated it. And afterwards I was like, no, it's too much to direct and produce this event and have it be filmed and then also be facilitating. So the next one I asked a couple, and the spirit of it is to do it in community. Like I didn't want to just like make a film about me facilitating these queer mikveh experiences, So for the next one, I invited, I asked a couple friends if they wanted to do it. Kat Cunningham, who's doing the Gay Bathhouse Project in Seattle, and my friend, who actually we just got connected through another mutual friend. We didn't even know each other. And then also my friend Dory Midnight, and who is a wonderful artist and ritual leader. And so I asked both of them because we were both going to be at the Jewish Voice for Peace National Member Meeting in Chicago. And, we planned the ritual together, and then we held it at the pool at the hotel. And, it didn't follow the guidelines of having natural water in it, rainwater or anything like that. It was a chlorinated pool straight from the faucet, But to me, that works for me. It wouldn't work for a lot of people I know, and it wouldn't work for a lot of queer people I know. But it was nice to intend it to be that, and I, for one, experienced a kind of transformation. And for me, it was more around like planning the whole thing, and but then the actual moment of emerging, and also that in that, in these, and then we did one in for Pride at Baker Beach in San Francisco, in the nude area, which is known for being like a nude gay beach, a few weeks ago, and that was amazing. I learned from that I don't actually want to be one of the facilitators at all, so I instead, kind of curated a group of people. I did a general call out first to people who I thought would be interested, and then kind of not many people were, people in the Bay Area were like so busy. So I asked individual people, and it ended up to be this group of artists, and so a lot of art got incorporated into the mikveh, and it was beautiful. One of the artists, Lucasa Bramfin Verancino, did a object mikveh where she asked people to bring objects and then kind of made them into an art piece and poured water over them. Nikki Green, who's a sculptor, she's many things, but a sculptor. She made pickles and did a pickle blessing for everyone, a fermentation blessing, thinking about how the pickle changes in the brine with the salt, like us going into the water, the ocean going into the ocean, changing our bodies through the mikveh in the ocean. And Remedios Martinez Cantu also facilitated the whole ritual, and that was just, she did such a beautiful job facilitating our personal and then thinking of the larger political collective healing that needs to be happening around queers, around Black Lives Matter, around Palestinian solidarity. And so the project's happening, and I'm writing grants for it now, and now we have a trailer, and it's just magical how things are unfolding because more people are kind of coming out and are interested in it, and I think it's speaking to a lot of people. I feel like the intention of the film is both to create these mikveh experiences, and we also want to document some of what's happening at Mayim Chaim and Immerse NYC and the Gay Bathhouse, and Orav Katz is also doing another project in Toronto this fall related to mikveh. But and I'm sure there are many people doing many other wonderful queer mikveh things, other places I have no idea about. But kind of like give an example of this is a way that you can queer a ritual and make it meaningful to yourself, and like go do it with your people and your community, and take other rituals and do that too, and like use rituals in the Jewish community, but then use rituals of your own culture if you're not Jewish, and like there's a way to queer spirituality to make things meaningful. And I think it's just kind of like knowing it's out there, to create kind of sometimes enough to empower people to bring that into their lives. And not that people aren't doing it everywhere and haven't always done it too.